everyone, welcome back. It's Rachel with Living the Journal Life. Today we're in my reading planner journal and we're going to be filling out everything that I need to for June and setting up for July. So let's get into this. I am so happy that I changed to this Archer and Olive journal. I cannot tell you how much I was hating just the random journal that I started the year with. So since I have changed over to this Archer and Olive, I'm really enjoying the paper. I'm really enjoying using all of my craft supplies. Things aren't just bleeding through all over the place. I don't have to glue pages together. It's nice. It's so nice. So this was the best thing. Usually I stick with planners, even if I'm not enjoying them, because I feel like you started using it, just finish. But I let that go because I wasn't happy with my reading planner and my health planner. And now that I have changed them both, I'm actually inspired to use them, which is good. There's no point in having these trackers and planners and such if you're not using them. And I'm really enjoying it now. So I only read 3 books in June. I finished up Beautiful Creatures, which was very meh. I think that I am not the target audience. I am not a teenager, and I find teenage angst to be really sort of not my thing. So when I read, what was it really popular a billion years ago? Twilight. When I read Twilight, I read it a few times, but I literally just skipped all of the teenage angst because I couldn't hang with that. So I did not skip the teenage angst with this because it is 99% teenage angst. And I really hate it when books are like leading up to this one thing, this one event, and then at the end of the book they go, oh, just kidding, it's actually another event. And that makes me so angry. So I will not be continuing the series. It was not a book for me. I probably would have DNF'd it, except for that I was reading it for a reading challenge, and that made me stick with it when I really probably shouldn't have. Then I read The Ghost Brigades by John Scalzi. I loved it. And then my last read was The Graveyard Book, which I've been meaning to read forever, and I also loved it. So overall, June was a really good reading month. It just wasn't, it didn't start out great. But I was finishing up Beautiful Creatures for a prompt in May. And that's it is what it is. You know, I just stuck with a book that I probably shouldn't. I think I gave it 2.25 stars. It's not that it was badly written or anything. It's just, it was not a Rachel book. Whereas The Ghost Brigades and The Graveyard Book, totally Rachel books. So it ended up being a really fun reading month in the end. The first few days were not great, but everything else was lovely. The Ghost Brigades is part of the Old Man War series. I don't actually know the series name off the top of my head, but it starts with Old Man War by John Scalzi. It's really good sci-fi. If you like sci-fi that isn't like super hard, like super science-y sci-fi, it's more of a space opera-y, space war sci-fi, then Scalzi is awesome, and he has a really great sense of humor. I always enjoy Scalzi books, and the same with Neil Gaiman. I've always enjoyed every Neil Gaiman book I read, so I can't believe it took me so long to get to the Graveyard book, and I have no excuse. There's really no reason why it took me so long to get there, but I got there, and that's what matters. So I'm just pulling out the some sci-fi papers and just sort of science-y astronomy ephemera and doing some torn edges. I probably should have done a 2-page spread for this one because there were a lot of quotes that I wanted to keep track of, but I didn't know what to do with the extra page because Beautiful Creatures, I didn't have a lot to say about it. So I need to think on what I'm going to do with like blank pages when I have just one book that I want to do a lot with and one book that I don't want to do a lot with. And I did Beautiful Creatures off screen because I was cranky. I just wanted to do it as soon as I finished the book because I knew if I didn't do it right away that I would never do it. So I just went in there, went cranky, and was fine. And I cut this washi sticker out with the moon on it, and I forgot that it was pre-cut, so I did not have to fussy cut it. It was already cut. But you know, You live and you learn. I forget which of my ephemera is actually already a sticker and which of it I need to cut, so I'll get better at that. But these are already stickers. You don't have to fussy cut them. I was just going for sort of general sci-fi space vibes, and yeah, I didn't have anything that was super stuck out on the book that my ephemera matched that kind of went with the theme of the book. But I did give this one, I think, 4.5 stars, and I only took off a half star because I wasn't super connected with the main character throughout the entire book. I kind of came and went where I was like, I don't know about this character. So just the times that I abandoned my love of the character is what knocked off that quarter or half a star. But I still think it's an amazing book. It's still one of the best books I've read this year. And if you like sci-fi, this is a really great concept. And it's been around for a long time, and it's been optioned for movies and shows and stuff. Unfortunately, they never get made because that's how Hollywood is, but I can see why people would option this for movies and such, because it is a really, really cool concept. And I like how this page turned out, but since I finished it, there were a little bit of extra space, so I thought I would take one of these spacey stickers and just fill in a little bit. I like filling in after I've written so that I have sort of a base decoration, I write, and then I can fill in so it looks really full and like very intentional, but I can get more room for what I want to say, if that makes any sense. I'm just sort of giving you my general philosophy on these. I'm still finding my way. I'm still finding my aesthetic. I'm still playing around, but I adore this journal. Our Journalive has totally saved my love of reading journals. So that was definitely a right move, but I'm still kind of finding my creative flow on how to do these and how to make them look the way I want to look them. And I had so much fun with this one because it's spooky, and this kid makes his way to a graveyard and is raised by ghosts, and that is the premise of it. You find that out in the first chapter, so it starts out with death, and you're around ghosts and ghoulies and all sorts of spooky things. So I broke out some spooky Simply Gilded washi and some sticker books that I had gotten from Michael's around spooky season, and that washi cutter that I'm using, an amazing friend 3D printed me for my birthday, and it's so cute. So I just had a lot of fun with this one, and I tried to do like one side very flat, and then the other side was the torn edges with the crows or ravens. They're probably ravens. I can't see from here if they're crows or ravens, but the very spooky birds. And anyway, this was just kind of really, really fun to decorate. I enjoyed this. This is really getting me excited for spooky season and in the mood for things spooky, which I always am. I don't tend to read a lot of spooky books. I don't watch very many spooky movies. Even around Halloween, my spooky movies I'm not watching horror that was made after 1950. I do watch a couple of horror movies, but they're mostly 1950s-ish or before, because that's my speed for horror. So it was kind of cool to read a spooky book because I just generally don't do that. And this one was, I guess a children's book or a young adult book is probably my level of spooky. And it definitely has me in the mood for all things spooky season, but of course, that's kind of all year. And I really tried to use these books that I got last year at Michael's, but they come with so many stickers that I had quite a lot left over. So it was fun to break out the, Halloween stickers. There was the one I'm looking through right now. It is too Halloweeny. I think the only thing I could pull out was a spider, and that didn't really work out, or maybe it was a ghost. But yeah, this is a really fun one. I like the way it turned out. And here we are. Don't look too close if you don't want spoilers, because this is done for me, and I liked it because I kind of gave my review of the story and then some of my favorite quotes. I think a 2-page spread is really great if I have quotes. So we're going to go back to my yearly trackers. Sorry, my brain just fell out of my head at that moment. These are all of my yearly trackers, and I'm just putting notes on places where I need to print out a book so that I do not forget to add it. But if I haven't had it printed in that moment, it's just a good way for me to go, oh yeah, I need to print that. So I had already done that for these, and now I have printed them so I can add them. This is just my like overall 2024 bookshelf. And if I do happen to run out of space, which could happen because I have been reading more novellas and shorter stories, like I have some kids books that I've been reading, a kids series that I've been reading. So it might be that I end up going over my 30 book goal. And if that happens, I will just tip in another page. And so I'll have the back and front of another page. So not to worry if I run out of space here. I can just tip something in and it'll be fine. But for right now, I'm about halfway through my reading goal. And I did finish my book for the Year of Adventures in Aurelia, which is a reading challenge. I will try and remember to link it in the description below. It's a very fun challenge, and it's very complicated for me to explain, and I had to watch a lot of videos to kind of get it. But you create a character, and the character is in this living world, and so it's a very fun one. But just to explain the concept of the reading challenge is a bit extra. This one is easy. This is the Books and Planners Reading Challenge. I'll link her Facebook page so that you guys, if you're interested in joining a fun little planner reading community, that it's very small, it's very fun, and we discuss and vote on one book a month. And we also have the reading challenge, which you can choose your book that fits into the ropes. And that's what I've done. Very rarely I read what the chosen book for the month is, just because I tend to be a mood reader, and it's very hard for me to get into book club reads when I'm a mood reader, because I'm almost always not in the mood for whatever is picked, because that's just how it works out. So I know it's not very summery, but I wanted to use this new washi and supplies from Archer and Olive from the latest sub box, just because it's new, it's in my stash, and I haven't used it much yet. So I thought it would be a fun color scheme for July. It's a lot more muted and sort of fall looking than I would normally do for a July spread, but I couldn't resist. It's just so pretty. So we're just going to draw out a July calendar, and I decided to make the day spots a little bit bigger. So if you can see my pencil marks, that's what we're doing here. And I'm just doing this so that I can keep track of when I start a book, when I finish a book, and like we did on the June calendar. Nothing too fancy, nothing too extreme, but just a nice little way for me to visually see my reading throughout the month. And then on the side, I'm going to put a few reading goals, just like June, nothing exciting, just a little bit for me to focus on reading. This is just for me to celebrate my own reading. It's not about, I don't know, doing what everybody else is doing, because I know online there's so many people that read. I read 15 books this month, and I don't know how they do it, because I am an extremely glacially slow reader, so there's absolutely no way I could finish that many books and comprehend what I was reading. I don't know. And I'm going to screw up the right-hand side. It's going to be completely messed up. I counted I counted wrong. I'm a space up. Everything is weird. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I thought about fixing it, but I was like, that's so much whiteout and so much effort, and it's just for me. I don't care. So if that bothers you, I'm so sorry. Just go with it. I promise it'll be okay. It'll be fine. We can do it. I'm using this July sticker from Sweet Kawaii Design, and the goal sticker is from Mandy Lynn Plans, and then I'm just going to write out my sweet little goals, read 2 or more books, make sure that I'm doing my yearly pages, my yearly trackers get filled out, making sure I'm doing book reviews, and then setting up for August. July is hopefully going to be a very, very chill month for me, and I just want to make sure my goals are helping to enforce that. I just want to keep up with what I'm doing, nothing extreme. In August, we're going to have the monthly readathon from the year-long challenge that I said is hard to explain. And that's going to be a lot of reading for me. It's going to be a lot of like Discord servers, and it's going to be a lot more stuff. So I want, reading wise, my July to be very chill. We'll get more intense when it comes to August, and I'll have more plans. And because I'm like a 2 or 3 books a month reader, when I am doing a readathon and it's supposed to be, and I'm supposed to be reading 5 books, that means that I have to pay attention to a lot of prompts and a lot of short stories and novellas, and it becomes a little intense for my brain, but it'll be so much fun. And I'm just using a little bit more of this Archer and Olive washi to give a little bit more weight to the page and visual interest. I tried to put that up a little bit to mask that it's so much bigger than the upper ones. And then I realized I didn't fill out my June stats. So I was checking to see if I had counted any of the pages from Beautiful Creatures in the previous month, and I hadn't, so I just put it all into June. I'm not too fuzzy about this. It's just sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm 70% of the way through the book, so I count 70% of the pages in one month and 30 in the next. I just look to see what I did. I'm not consistent. I should probably make hard and fast rules about what I do, but I don't. It's fine. So I'm at 18 books for the year out of, I believe my goal is 30. And yeah, definitely my favorite book this month was the Graveyard book. So good. I just love it. It was great. So glad I read it. The prompt was to read a book that you've had for forever, and I'm really glad I did. So yeah. And then this is a book war of the year, a book like to try and find your favorite book where you're just putting 2 books up against each other. And I stole this layout from, I want to say, I don't remember where I stole this layout, but I didn't want it to be Old Man's War against Old Man's War, but really that's what should it be, because between Old Man's War and the Encyclopedia Fairies, I would choose Old Man's War, and between Old Man's War and the Graveyard book, I'd choose Old Man's War. So it just had to be the Battle of Old Man's War, which is Old Man's War. It's fine. It was a really great book. And I'm just making sure that I have numbered the pages so that I can keep up with my index. And really, I think this is going to be such a great, lovely, chill month, making sure my series are marked off. And yeah, so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you have been having some fabulous reading time and enjoy the rest of this flip through, and I will see you in the next one.